What are you doing now?
I'm attaching these strips of painted foam to make it look like metal bars on our cage.
We had a great art crew headed up by Lauren. They built a lot of the sets and built a lot of the props. Brogan Johnson was our kind of key sculptor there, and he worked with Anne and Lauren a lot in coming up with very unique props, which we see in the film, such as Tila's staff and Tila's necklace. We wanted to create this religious order. We used the owl as kind of their symbol of that. Brogan did a great job designing these kind of, I don't know, they kind of Art Deco inspired fantasy art, which I thought was a very interesting direction that Anne took it in.
Tila's goddess is a really strong character with really defined agendas, so I chose an Art Deco theme for her because Deco, I think first of all, their treatment of birds and animals is always really beautiful and sleek and very graphic. It takes a lot of influence from Egyptian art, and Egyptian religions are steeped in a lot of tradition. Because Tila's goddess is so unyielding and strict, I think that fits really well with the graphic nature of Art Deco, circles and squares being built on. It's a very defined look and very strict look. There's not a lot of room for interpretation or subjectiveness. I think that fit well with the things we wanted the audience to understand immediately about Tila's goddess.
We love working with Anne because she's such a visual director. She comes from a background of costume and production design. She was heavily involved in particularly the design of the costumes for the film. I think all credit kind of needs to go to Anne for how great the characters looked. We had a whole bunch of other people who worked really hard in making the costumes and the armor. David Powell, he's a fantastic leather worker who was responsible for a lot of the leather armor. Kurt and Lauren just working tirelessly, just making sets and getting stuff ready. It was a small crew who did a ton of work, so hats off to them. And Eric Oberholz, our props master, who just had to stay on top and organized of this massive amounts of weapons throughout the film, both our heroes' weapons, but also, everyone they encounter. He had a truckload of stuff he was hauling around and dressing people each day, getting them all rigged out, getting all our extras rigged out. So it was a massive job for a few people, but they pulled it off and it looks great.
It was just a humongous props show, and there are just swords and knives and bags, satchels, and then all the special props that go on the characters. So there were a lot of things.
These are, now about half the weapons that we're going to be using, maybe 2/3 of the weapons we're going to be using. I've still got some coming in, but for the most part, we laid them out so the director could take a look and see the different characters and whatnot, what their weapons are going to be. So it's looking good.
I had a producer, David Wolf, once who said objects are so important in fantasy, and I think he was right about that. In fantasy, they name their swords, and things are so important. I think objects are probably important in our own history as well. Museums are full of objects. So a props master job it's difficult because there's so much to file and keep track of, but it's also really creatively fulfilling, I'm sure, because you get to have this beautiful little object you've worked on gets close-ups and shot and shot and shot, and is such a part of the story. Brogan was really talented. I think Eric found him at Hobby Lobby. He went there to pick some stuff up, and Brogan was working behind the counter, I think, and he made some really beautiful things. Tila's necklace and the owl, most particularly. I think maybe that owl is one of my most favorite props ever. I don't know, there are a lot of props I love. I know directors are always kind of obsessive about props, and it's so fun to think of something and then have somebody show up with it. It's more fun for the director, I think, than the props master, for sure.
Movie magic, huh? Cool.